Welcome back to another episode of the Flying Upstream podcast. Today, we are honored to have Brock Williams as our guest.
Brock Williams has spent nearly 20 years helping men heal. He's dedicated to mental health advocate. Sorry, Brock Williams is a dedicated mental health advocate, poet, and author who shares his journey about coming to terms with mental health challenges in his personal and professional life as he helps men of color deal with mental health adversities. Brock is here with us today to talk about his book, Shake the Dust Off Your Soul, and his African book tour. Brock, welcome to the Flying Upstream podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Of course, we're so excited to get to know you. And I would love to know and start by talking about what inspired you to write your book, Shake the Dust Off Your Soul.
You know, uh, I was always looking for a way to express myself, and for some reason, I couldn't really do it, get a handle on it. So poetry became a way that I handled it and really channeled challenge myself, but also explore the four corners of my mind to really help deliver my emotions effectively. And I actually wrote the book during um, around the time of the George Floyd, massacre and the pandemic. So I had time on my hands, and they were protesting and marching not far from my house. And my friends were like, "Come on, let's go out there." I'm like, "No, no, I can't. I can't." I was having anxiety, and I ran out of my medication. So that whole thing. So what I did was started writing started writing, and that really helped me channel all my fears and anxieties, and really would come to terms of being a poet. So, shake the dust off your soul. It's time to wake up, dust yourself off, get back up, get back in the race. We have work to do.
That's amazing. I love that it came from a place of being inspired to write it, that you had a real purpose in doing that. And writing a book in itself is quite an amazing accomplishment. But you're
Yeah,
taking it to the next level. You're actually doing a book tour throughout Africa. So share with us, what has that experience been like for you so far?
it was amazing. I actually went on a book tour through Africa. We went through Johannesburg and Botswana, and it was a spiritual. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful country, and I spoke with TEDx at the University of Johannesburg, and they have my copies of my book in their library now. And we went all throughout Africa and parts of London, and it was amazing, amazing. The people over there they're so open minded. They have questions and they want to engage. And you come sit down, talk to me, tell me what I need to know. And I was just like, and these are like children. I'm just like, hey, all right, let's talk. It
That's
was a
beautiful.
I would say children are the closest thing to God,
Mm.
and those children are so bright and educated, and it was an experience that I would love to do again.
I love that.
Love,
I love, the expression that children are the closest thing to God. I think we can often forget that, but when we take those moments and allow ourselves to engage with them, we really are able to see that. And for you, I mean, what was it like? Because you meet these children that are absolutely bright and intelligent and so connected to God. How did it feel for you to know that you are also going to have an impact in these beautiful children's lives?
it was one of those moments where you're enlightened and your creative aspect just comes out because they're just throwing questions at you left and right, and they will tell you, you changed my world. You are here today because they see someone that looks like them is promoting mental health and is an author and a speaker and got up on stage, and they were just like absorbing it all in. I'm just thinking to myself, wow, this is a part of you doesn't want to leave. But we went to their school, and they were just beaming with knowledge and education. They want to know more. Like tell me how to make my life better. And we would talk, and we went in groups, went around to everyone. And I just said to myself, like, wow, this is game changing. This is life changing, life altering. And one little boy, held my hand while he was speaking. And I said, you know what, you can speak freely. You know, our ancestors suffered so you wouldn't have to. Don't tell me sky's the limit when there are footsteps on the moon. Speak your truth. And he just said how he felt and what he wanted to know. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, it's like, don't, no, 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 don't, no, don't do it, don't do it. So I had to turn my head a couple times, and it was just, oh my gosh. And they're very spiritual. They're very spiritual. And I walked, because over there nature walks free. Like, you in the parking lot, and a gazelle walks by you. And I'm like, did you guys just see that? Like, well, they were here first. You're a guest in their world. Like, oh, like the perception, like they value everything. And we went on an African safari. And here in America, they're caged and like the little fences and things. Over there, they do not. I was maybe 5 feet from an elephant, and they told us don't get out the vehicle, because you don't want to attack you. But if you're in the vehicle, they won't bother you. Like, nature walks free over there. And I looked to my right, and we were going through the area, and I look over there, like I'm 12 foot from two male lions.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah. So I really went over there, with the best intentions to give the most of myself, because dealing with anxiety and depression myself, um, for so long, helped me to connect the dots, and it helped me to really um, connect the puzzle pieces with them in Africa. And because in our culture, we don't talk about our mental health or going to see the doctor, or we don't talk about our mental health. If you have a problem, just go down the street, have the pastor put hands on you, you'll be just fine. Okay. But sometimes it takes more than that. And as men, we hear things like, oh, well, first, let me just start by saying I was a kind of an emotional child, because I was told as a kid, like most boys are, real men don't cry. Oh, oh, walk it off, boy. I'm raising a man,
Mm.
not a boy. These are things that we hear. So we suppress our emotion when we should express. And crying and showing your emotions, unfortunately, in our culture, is a sign of weakness. And I hate to say that a lot of men don't feel comfortable expressing themselves because they were taught from an early age not to. And had we talked about it growing up, then I would have been able to handle my emotions a lot better. And your friends, they'll rag on you and this and that. But when you don't know what's wrong, you don't know what's wrong. And how can you heal if you don't know how you feel? And unfortunately, we live in a day and age where we as men are so used to that mentality that we don't even feel comfortable expressing ourselves to our spouses. And unfortunately, when we have, there are cases where it's been weaponized against us. So we just shut down that much more. And that's the sad part.
Yeah, I'm so, what you're saying is so resonating with me right now. And you touched on it right at the end there, where as a woman who is married to a man, it does impact women too. It's not just the men and their own personal lives, right? And I have 2 children, it's impacting them too. And it really is a whole cultural thing. You know, it's not just individual boys that grow to men that are suffering needlessly, but it really is everybody involved. And it is sad. I'm so grateful for people like you, though, who are working towards healing and truly helping, truly making a difference. You shared a little bit about how impactful this trip through Africa was for you. I want to switch gears a bit and talk about some of the men that you work with and how that healing process goes.
You know, I've worked with pediatrics. I'm a behavioral analyst now, and I've worked psychiatric, medical, geriatric, juvenile corrections, assisted living, group home for girls. And one thing that I've noticed the entire time is we don't take our mental health seriously as a culture. You know, we see getting help as a weakness. But, you know, so I always try to express that, you know, to the new patients coming in, you know, I always tell them, I speak for 2 reasons: to educate and inspire. Now you tell me which one of these will make you transpire, because I can only help you with the knowledge that I have. And I would ask them questions. And men, when they, it's not that we're stubborn, but there's a little bit of that in there. But we are taught not to express ourselves. Oh, you know, a guy, his mother could have just died, and he'll turn around and say, "I'm all right." He won't let it show. The hardest battles are fought behind closed doors, and the stupidest ones are fought in public. And I always tell people, "How are you feeling? Tell me how you're feeling. How can I help you?" So I said, "Listen, you know what? Tell you what. Don't tell me how you feel. What you're feeling physically, medically, emotionally, go on your phone and look at those symptoms. You know what I'm saying? Put that power back in their hands. I mean, we spend all our time on our phones anyway. Might as well look up something useful. You know what? Take pride, excuse me, take pride in taking your health serious. Because the silent killer amongst men is high blood pressure. And everything stems from that. If you're not sure what you're feeling, Google symptoms, you know, lightheaded, you know, because there's 7 to 10, I believe it's 10 different types of headache. There's migraines, there's tension, and it all comes, you know, pressure. And I always tell them, Google your symptoms: lightheadedness, dizziness, figure out what it is, find the source. You know, you go to your local drugstore or CVS or Walgreens, you know, put your arm in there, check your blood pressure, chart it down. So when you go see your doctor, you know, hey, I want to give you this. I'm not sure this will help, but this is how I've been feeling the past 2 weeks. And, you know, take, claim your crown and put that power back in your hands. You know what? You had one you. Since when did treating yourself become a bad thing? And if you were anything like my dad, or you'll be all right, you'll be all right. You know, we hear that growing up because when we were growing up, you know, it was different. But these kids now, they're these kids are something different. So I always tell them, you know what? Regardless of how you were brought up, that's not who you are now. Now that you know what the problem is, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and I love that because that, like you mentioned, puts the power
Yeah,
back in our own hands, which I think society, a lot of the societal pressures and ideals that we're
yeah,
brought up with take the power away from
exactly.
us. They like put it on someone else, on something else, but it's like, on what else? The reality is we have always had the power all
Yes.
along. It was the
Yes.
illusion that didn't, that got us to this place where, like you mentioned, has made mental health this whole thing that we set aside from the rest of our health. I love how you mentioned, check your blood pressure, keep track of those things, because we separate the two, our physical health.
That's right.
They are the same, right? Like, it does not create a balanced life. Or
That's right. Correct. Correct.
I really love that. There's something that I'm very interested in knowing from your experience in Africa, in your book tour, just everywhere that you've traveled to. How What was the difference in masculinity and like the way that our society, our American culture, and what you experienced define masculinity?
Africa, they walk tall. They walk tall, and they're proud of who they are. And I hate to say this, America, we've had things handed to us. We're coddled. A 10-year-old boy over there, in many ways, is more mature mentally, physically, than a 25-year-old man in America. And I hate to say that because they, over in Africa, it's been colonized for over 600 years. So they fight. They've always had to fight for what was rightfully theirs. Here in America, we take it for granted. And that sounds so horrible because we don't know what it's like to live without. And I've heard someone say, how
Mm.
entitled and privileged Americans are, and I'm just sitting there like this, and some of us are really bad about that. But over there, if you need, we did a tour, different cities, and sometimes we went through the poverty-stricken areas to get to our destination. You would see a lady walking with a baby around her, and she's carrying 2 buckets of water, and she's walking 2 miles down the road, to get to her house, so she can clean her children. I mean, we went through the good and the bad parts, and it really makes you appreciate everything you have and big, but how small life really is. We take everything for granted, and over there, they're really grateful and humble, appreciative, and they are the most kindest, loving people. We went to it was like a, I guess some would call it a flea market, but it was a whole road, a street, a long street, like a market kind of thing. And I found some of the most nicest clothes and jewelry and sculptures better than you would inside these retail stores. Every, everything is handmade and carved, and it's like, wow. And we took a tour to Nelson Mandela's house. They made his former house into a museum. He's on every dollar bill over there. And you just go to bed at night and this is, you're grateful, you're humble, you're appreciative. And they love meeting people. And I was, like, hey, how you doing? And welcome, welcome. Come sit down, come with us, come with us. And, like they were, oh my goodness. It doesn't even go to goosebumps because I do want to go back. It's beautiful over there. It's beautiful, and the food tastes different. Oh, the texture, the food, and you're like at the shopping market, buying items, and you see people across the um what do you call it? I won't say pasture, but like the green acreage area, bringing all the fresh food over, like fresh cucumbers and carrots. They just pick them fresh and they're rinsing them off and they're selling them.
That sounds amazing.
Dude, I tell anyone, go to Africa. Even if you go one time, just go.
That's
Just go.
amazing. Well,
I, and-
I can see that your level of gratitude and appreciation is tremendous, and that's amazing. We are kind of winding down here. We've loved talking to you today. And as we've said, we know that in today's climate, mental health is finally becoming a part of the conversation, but this isn't true across the board yet, especially when we take into account the general perception of men embracing their mental health. So we're curious to know, in what ways are you challenging traditional perceptions of masculinity and mental health in your work?
you know what? We live in a day and age where men are categorized as this is what makes you a man. And everyone has their own idea perception of what a man really is. And men, we have always had to prove our masculinity. We're this, we're that, we have to do this. Like, no, you know what? The only responsibility you have is taking care of your medical, your mental, your physical health. Everything out there, the ones that are doing the most talking out there know the least. And it irritates me so bad because men question themselves, and that's what really keeps them from getting help. Their manhood, their pride, their ego. But we're also raised to be a certain type of man, a certain type of person, to fit into this category of what society deems fit as a man. And the worst part is we buy into that system, that mentality that they created, because we don't want to be deemed uh, as this or that, or we don't want to be called out. So we feed into that system. We feed into that mentality, and that's destructive. I mean, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going. I mean, live in the present, plan for the future, but learn from the past. And if you don't know where you're going, you probably don't know who you are. So this is the time to really figure out who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, and taking your mental health seriously and taking your physical health seriously. You know, I call it you. Lay the foundation for you to walk on. You know what? Those bricks that they threw, take them and build a road. You know what? You need to do this for yourself because if you're not healthy, what good are you to anyone else?
Absolutely.
Make,
Brock,
make your mental health your mission.
I love that. Those are perfect words to end on today. And Brock, I really want to thank you so much for sharing your inspiring journey with us. Your work is
Absolutely. Thank you.
truly making a difference in the lives of men around the world.
You know what? I tell people all the time do the best you can with the strength you have. If you got to go down and take a rest for 20 minutes before you do this, that's fine. Your body will thank you. Don't think you have to do everything at once just to meet someone else's standard. You know, don't buy things for a life you don't have to impress people you don't like, who 9 out of 10 probably don't even know who they are. You know what? Make do with what you have.
Yeah.
Make your peace your priority.
I love that. And, to the theme of our podcast, I would say walk the road, even if it's the road less traveled. You have to start
Hey,
somewhere.
greatness
And
stands
if
alone.
it doesn't look like what anybody else is doing,
Yes. You know what? It's so funny because every time you see birds, they flock together, but eagles soar alone. Always.
yeah. Yes,
Always.
yes. Thank you so much. This has been so beautiful. I really wish we had more time. I would love for us to have you back on another episode, dig deeper into this. Um, and to our listeners, if you want to learn more about Brock's work, be sure to check out his website at www.milleniaexpose.com. We will put that website in the show notes and on YouTube in the description. You can also find his book, Shake the Dust Off Your Soul, on his website and wherever books are sold.
Yes. And you know what? We are on Instagram. That's where we're most getting the most traffic. Instagram and Facebook, and our link in our bio It has a list of where you can get mental health treatment, the Shake the Dust Off Your Soul also, and other ebooks. You know, we're just trying to cover every different stream, every road we can, because, you know, we don't have tomorrow. We might not live to make it to tomorrow. You have only today.
Absolutely true. Thank you for those inspiring words, Brock. And to our free spirits,
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
it's been a blast. To our free spirits out there, don't forget to follow us on social media for more inspiring stories and valuable insights. And free spirits, keep questioning, keep challenging, and as always,